esteemed media colleagues, today's press briefing presided by our IG, Inspector General of Police, Reverend O.W. Coleman. Honorable Coleman is here to update the public on the Capitol building fire incident. He's also being flanked here by our humble Director of the Liberia National Fire Service, Director Osua Bao. He's also here with his able Deputy Director of Administration, and his name is Samuel Fair. Also in attendance is DRGP for Operations, J. Nelson Fremont, Anthony J. Nelson Fremont, and other senior officers here present. So without much ado, I hope your gadgets are set. Ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate, this is our Honorable RG, who is all set to brief the press on the situation.
Good afternoon to all. Indeed, our God is real. Let me first begin by apologizing for the delay, but it's better late than to have inconsistencies in our briefing. So we had to make sure that we gather more pieces of information to be able to accurately inform the public as to where we are. We are very much aware of the eagerness in the general public to hear about developments as far as the fire situation at the Capitol building is concerned. Like the Chief of Press and Public Affairs noted, I'm joined here today by the Director General of the Liberia National Fire Service. When this incident occurred, we announced earlier that there will be joint investigation by the Joint Security of the Republic of Liberia. That have now fallen short. The investigations are underway. The Joint Security is working tirelessly to ensure that we give the Liberian people some answers to what has happened in the nation. At this point in time, I think it's only fair for us to brief as to how far we are. If you all could recall, over the last few press conferences or briefings that we've had, I've been very, very clear on my words. I've minced my words as far as calling the situation at the Capitol an arson. I told you all that we're still investigating. And we're looking at, even though there are elements pointing towards that, but we could not with all definitive say that it was an arson. Today, January 8th, at this point in time, I'm here to officially inform the nation that we have sufficient evidence to call the act at the Capitol an act of arson. The Chief of Fire Service is here. He will throw some light on it, and then I will also follow up on some briefings as per the establishment of motive and intent and possible collaborator, conspirators, and executioners of this horrific incident at the Capitol, which is very disturbing to the nation, and that the people are eagerly waiting to hear from us where we are. Honorable Buffalo wants to say a few words, and then I can continue from there.
Thank you, RG. Good afternoon. I know you will be calling me, asking why we have not said anything. You know, when it comes to investigation, there are a lot of things involved. So you have to take your time to go, you know, through it so that we can get it fast out. Like you said, we are almost at the point of conclusion, and from our observation at the Capitol building, there were flammable substance used that caused the fire there. And so indeed, like you said, the funnel will be out. We just want to briefly let you know that from our observation, there were flammable substance used that caused the fire at the Capitol building.
To throw a little more light on this issue, as part of our investigative analysis, the electrical system at the Capitol building was duly assessed, and it has an automatic circuit breaker that should trip in time when there is a major short in the building that could lead to fire. Up to the time that the building was ablaze, the grid was still supplying power into the building, which is an indicator that it could not have been a short that caused that particular fire. More so, we also observed from the investigation that the smoke from the fire is consistent with that of an accelerant, a heavy, thick black smoke that we also coming from the Capitol building on that day. The color of the flame of the fire as well is also consistent with that of an accelerant as well. We also observe as part of the investigation that the fire with an electric, if it was an electrical fire, it will have a specific place that it will have begun from. But in this case, there were multiple areas that we noticed that the fire picked up from. So it wasn't like from one particular location spreading throughout the room, but from multiple locations around the room. So at this point in time, we are definitive about calling it an arson. We have identified people of interest in this investigation. Those people of interest have been reached. We have sent out clear messages to them to come in to continue the investigation. And in the case where they do not show up, they will be arrested. There's absolutely no one in this country by the Constitution that is immune from such a felonious act. And as such, it is our hope that people will willingly cooperate with this investigation. So far, so good. We haven't had any hostile posture from any of those that we would like to speak to. So we believe that that cooperation will be continued, and that we will be able to subsequently brief you, or when a full briefing has been done at the level of the National Security Council and some of our findings are declassified, that we will be able to give out to the press. At this point, I would like to rest. I know you have one or two questions, and then we can take it on.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, if you want to ask a question, you will raise your hand, be recognized before you speak, please. So, Winston from Banana.
Thank you, Honorable Archie. My name is Winston Blade from Banana. Do you care to tell us the name of that substance that we use and who are those referred to as person of interest? You want to call some names to us, so since you have reached out to them? Thank you.
So at this point, Winston, I would like to hold on to the names. Like I said, we have a detailed briefing to give to the, for now the briefings are still classified. When we make that presentation at the level of the National Security Council, they will authorize a level of declassification, at which point in time we will be able to reach out and inform the public. But in addition to just the issue of the color of the smoke and the flame, there were other pieces of evidence gathered on the scene, one of which was a container that the forensic team picked up and carefully did some analysis. We are limited as to how much we would do, so we got the EPA involved and we have LPRC involved. Both bodies corroborated the presence of flammable substances in that particular container that was found at the Capitol as well. like I say, those who did the act, they know themselves, and it's my hope that they will start coming. Because if you don't come, if you don't cooperate, we'll go for you. And they know themselves.
Fabien,
My name is Fabien and I work for LPS. My question has to do with your previous press conference last week.
Yes, please.
Where you mentioned about foreign experts coming in to determine the cause of the fire. And I remember during that press conference, there were some limitations on our fire service. So why now, today, our fire service is coming in with an investigation and not foreign experts that we were talking about?
So, Fabien, thank you. That's an excellent question. The scene is still preserved, just as is, as was from the day of the occurrence. We're still waiting experts to come in to also look at the pieces of evidence. But from the day that that incident occurred, based on the expertise available on the ground, we knew that the occurrences were consistent with that of an arson. We pulled back a bit to see if we could get additional expert advice before we call it that. But the fire investigation is also being done in line with criminal investigation. So on the basis of the criminal investigation and the fact that we are being able to collect sufficient evidence to speak to facilitation, conspiracy, and execution thereof, which we have evidence by the burning of the place, we are with all definitive certain of that particular act being arson. The foreign experts will just put the icing on the cake when it is to do that.
nobody else? Okay, that's okay. Okay, front page, Africa, Gerald.
Thank you. My name is Gerald. Honorable RG, you talk about reaching out to people, person of interest, the body they will come. Beside that, have you made any arrest? Do you have people in custody connecting to this incident?
We made series of arrests on the day of the incident because there was not sufficient evidence to connect them at the time. We allowed some of them on a personal reconnaissance, and some of them were guaranteed for by lawyers. At this point in time, some of those people who we had in our custody are now people of interest to this investigation. As such, we have reached out to legal representation, and for those who were released to the personal reconnaissance as well, that they willingly come back. And like I said, so far so good. There's been absolutely no contention. So we're going to wait to within the next 24 hours before we start to make tactical moves to make sure people get arrested.
So, ladies and gentlemen, investigation is not an event, it's a process. We'll update the public as the investigation unfolds. Thank you for coming and have a very happy New Year.
Listen, in closing, I want to reassure the general public. We are so politicized in this country that it is almost impossible to believe neutrality and professionalism. This particular investigation has been methodical. There's empirical pieces of evidence that have been chronologically connected. Every last person of interest that we've been able to connect. And the thing about it is, we may not at this point in time have every last one, but we have sufficient information to send a clear signal to any would-be detractor